This week, even before I said a single word about what I've been going through, my acupuncturist said that my heart was energetically closed off and my lungs were blocking me from receiving. And the very next day, I floated on my back on water for the first time in my life. And that very afternoon, I finally signed the document that I've been avoiding signing for years. It looks like there are three separate incidents, but they all had a common message for me that I had almost missed. Hi, my name is Ajita and welcome to my YouTube channel. With over 20 years of corporate executive experience, I am now the spiritual advisor and consciousness architect for tech leaders and professionals and entrepreneurs, as well as executive leadership teams, upgrading their internal leadership capacity and consciousness so that they can lead at visionary scale. What I share in this video is my live business building experience. I'm not building this business from hustle and grind. Instead, I'm using 7I principles, what I call the 7I pathway, which includes infinite field, intention, identity, imagination, intuitive decisions, inspired action, and inevitable results. This is my live case study of taking my business to $4.4 million in less than 12 months using the 7I pathway and the Epic Leadership Operating System framework. Epic Leadership Operating System framework is my proprietary framework where the word EPIC actually stands for E for Emotional Operating System, P for Physical Operating System, I for Intellectual Operating System, and C for Consciousness Operating System. Week by week, you will see invisible shifts creating visible results. We are now on week 20. Let's check it out. This week was a sequence of amazing synchronicities. Here's what happened on Friday. I had booked a shiatsu massage with my acupuncturist, and I had no idea what a shiatsu massage really entails. I walked in clueless and had an amazing 1-hour session, almost a 75-minute session. And I went into a very deep state of meditation or sleep, I should say. And at some point in the massage experience, I felt a sudden jolt in my body. I thought that my hand movement that I made by accidentally startled my practitioner. And I just didn't think too much about it. I came back home, and the very next day, Saturday, what happened was I was deeply inspired to start continuing a mandala that I had begun when I had done my fasting back in April. So I started a mandala in that flow state back then in April, and after that I never got the mojo. And this Saturday, right after the Friday massage, shiatsu massage appointment, I had this amazing creativity start in my field, and I said, okay, I'm inspired, I'm just going to go sit and make mandala, which I did. And then comes Monday, where I go back to my acupuncturist for an acupuncture session this time, and I didn't ask him anything, and he started sharing what exactly happened in the massage that I had with him, the shiatsu massage. And he was saying to me, without knowing anything that's happening in my life, he says, your heart was blocked, it had a cloud of something over it, and your lungs were blocking. Like there was so much trying to come in, but your lungs was completely blocked from letting anything in. Those were his words. And I was like, wait a second, what does shiatsu massage really entail? Because I didn't know that it had actually work being done on energy body around the physical body. So I asked him, okay, wait, what's the difference between acupuncture and shiatsu? And he explained to me that acupuncture starts at the body and goes deep into the body in terms of the needles and the points at which they function. So it's more for the physical body. And shiatsu starts at the top of the physical body and goes outwards to the energy field around the body. I was like, wow, I didn't have a clue of any of this, but it was such a powerful experience because it made perfect sense for me after that as to why I started creating the mandala, because he literally said all the creativity and all the inspiration and all that is coming towards you, you are not letting them in. There was a block in the lungs and you were just not receiving anything. It's like, I was mind blown, because everything that I've been doing so far in my work, you all have, if you're following the series, it's now week 20. I've been working so hard technically, at least on my inner work, not hustling on the outside, but definitely working so hard on my state of being and how to stay in this high vibrational state. And without knowing, I was guided to say yes to shiatsu massage. Without knowing what it was, I had an amazing experience of opening up my lungs, opening up my heart. It makes perfect sense. And I actually told him one of the big shifts that I've had this particular week has been a deep level of surrender. My morning meditations, I have been intensely and intentionally and very earnestly and very earnestly allowing for more of my soul to come into my physical experience and allowing my human to take a back seat. So there was a very strong intention to surrender this week and to let go, because I know there are still fragments of things from all the relationships that I've had to let go earlier this year. February is when I started this series, and I know I've had to make some really tough decisions to let a few things off my life. And although consciously I've made the decision, my body is still catching up with some remnants of, connections or attachments to those experiences and people. To hear my massage therapist, acupuncturist tell me this was mind-blowing. And when I told him I've been working on surrendering and letting go, he goes, that's it. That's the word I was looking for, because that's what was being released. And so the startling that I thought I was doing that happened because of my hand movement, he said, you actually had a huge release of that block was opened up, and that's what you felt, which I thought was absolutely magical. The synchronicity that unfolded after that was, this was Monday, and Monday evening I was not going to attend a business strategy session. So you all know already, if you're following the series, that I have been part of a business strategy group where I'm learning how to really build these $100,000 to $1 million deals. And I was not planning to attend because somehow I just felt out of sync with that whole process. I was more intuitively drawn to do things that I felt right about. But for some reason, somebody messaged me from that group and said, hey, are you going to be joining this session today? Because we're doing a referral party, which was a fun thing, which is, we all get together and we refer who we can within our network to other people. So I said, okay, this is a sign. I don't need to resist. I'm ready to receive. I'm going to go. So I attended it, and beautiful thing, 4 of us in a breakout room. Right when I start sharing about who I'm serving and how I'm serving and all of that, the actual leader of that business strategy group is present in the breakout room, and she listens to me. She gives me inputs, and then she walks out, she leaves the room, and all 3 people that other than me that were in the room had somebody that they wanted to refer to me because of the avatar fitting well with who I was looking to serve and who they knew, which was magical. And this, honestly, to say this is all a series of incidents that are reflecting of the fact that I'm now ready to receive, because I'm opening up my energetic field to not be closed off and to actually open it up to receive more of the support, more of the goodness, the more of abundance, prosperity, money, relationships, everything, right? So that now I can see it in physical action with one incident leading to another. The third thing that happened this week was a sudden inspiration where I was reflecting on overcoming fear, right? Last week's video was about overcoming fear of visibility and fear of money, too much or too less. And I was reflecting on it, and I asked myself, where else am I still holding on to fear in any aspect? And the first thing that came through in meditation for me was fear of water. And I've tried in the past, I think it was 2021 or 2022, where I signed up for swimming lessons, and I went even for, 6-7 sessions and did my best to overcome the fear of water, but I succumbed in the end and I gave up. Now that came to awareness, and I'm like, okay, so fear of water, what is the fear? Fear of water is fear of drowning, fear of death. Let's overcome that. And the minute the inspiration came, I immediately found a local amazing instructor, coach, who has 100% success rate of helping people overcome fear of water and swim in 8 weeks. I'm like, this is it. I signed up immediately, and this morning I had my first lesson. It was amazing. Why? Because when I walked into the water, I was shivering in fear. I couldn't breathe. I was like, didn't even want to put my head down to even blow bubbles. About 5 minutes in, she made all of us slow. She was holding each one of us. There were only 4 of us in the class. She was holding each one of us on our backs. Like she said, get on your back and float. And she made us, open our hands like this. And she was just holding in a couple of places and kept moving her hands down and away and teaching us how to float on our own without fear. And the minute I opened my hands, I knew the ask was to completely let go and surrender. And I just breathed and relaxed, and I was able to float on my own without her touching me. She was like, oh my God, you actually did it. That was the turning point. After that, I was able to, use the fins, the flap a little bit and, kick a little bit. And then we had the board to hold on to and learn how to move our arms and everything. Today, I did amazingly well in the class. And in fact, she looked at me and she said, you have done very well for the very first session. And she said, by the 4th session, you will be ready to swim on your own. I was like, okay. That was an amazing experience. The other synchronicity. So I come home after that session, I feel great. And then I decided to get the notarization done. So this is the other element. For almost 4 or 5 years now, I have created a trust document for all my assets, and if something were to happen to me, it is going to be sitting in a trust, taken care of from my children's point of view, and so on and so forth. I created that trust document literally as a message to the universe, saying I trust the universe. It's an act of exhibiting and showing trust towards the universe, and that I started, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It was not until today, finally, I was able to go to the notary, get the witnesses available from there to make that entire signature process complete. So in effect, I've actually completed an activity that demonstrates my trust in the universe. And incidentally, not so incidentally, towards the end of that, the notarizing guy says, I'm going to only charge you for the witnesses. I'm not going to charge you for my notary services. I'm just going to offer it for you. I was like, okay. I said, thank you. I'm receiving it. So after I come back from the notary, I check my emails and I see this email from an astrologer that I have long subscribed to. I don't even remember when. And in his message to us, last night the email has come and he says the sun has moved into Ardra constellation, which is a very wet kind of constellation. It's all about letting go and endings and closings and release. And he literally says in the last paragraph of that email that swimming and water immersion is actually beneficial at this time, especially given the full moon that we just crossed yesterday. It's a full moon in Capricorn. So I'm looking at all of this and they're all looking, somewhat here and there, disparate, not connected in any way, but it became so clear to me. Every one of these incidents to me is a testament for how my energy has moved to completely be open to receive. Ask of me while receiving is to fully trust, surrender, and let go. This is the core message. And the core message has been coming through in many synchronous incidents this week. And I'm actually celebrating this because, it's very easy for us to dismiss these as coincidences. Oh, yeah, fine, the notary didn't charge you, so what? Oh, fine, so people said they'll give you referrals, so what? No, each one of them is a clear indication that my energy has shifted and there is movement happening. And I cannot, it's very hard to describe in words how much of deep trust, faith, surrender, and peace has come in this week. Some of you who have been following this in detail for weeks now probably feel like, okay, you've been there before, but you've also gotten rattled again. Then you've gone back before. Yes, that is the process which I call the spiral. It's an upward spiral where you keep moving up in your consciousness, in your awareness. As you keep releasing, you may come back to the same situations again, but you have a different altitude and a vantage point through which you are learning the lesson and internalizing and mastering it. One of the key celebrations this week is learning that I am not to be chasing or following up on anybody. Lesson was solidified a few weeks ago. It has now come back again for me to master in much more depth, which is if I have given somebody 90 minutes of my time, anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes of my time in their interest to work with me, and if they don't make the decision by then, I do not want to spend my energy anymore with them. That has become very clear to me, and that is another opportunity I was given to demonstrate the same thing, which has now gotten extremely clear and solidified for me. Another celebration this week is I was deeply inspired when I was asked to fully surrender and allow my soul to come in more and more and my human to take a back seat. I was given clear awareness that my job is to create, just create. The message was so loud and clear, create. When you are creating, you stop reacting. You can only do one or the other. You can't do both at the same time. And the creation energy or the creative energy was already opened up with the shiatsu opening up the lungs, back of my lungs. And so I had already started making mandala. So it became easy for me to start creating content for my Epic Leaders Collective group session on the work that I'm doing with my clients. And I was inspired to create this presentation about soul and human, or leader operating system and a human operating system, how they fundamentally differ, and how the human operating system is a reactive operating system driven by fear, whereas a leader operating system or your soul's operating system is driven by your soul, driven by your purpose and growth and evolution, and how to become aware which operating system, because they are both simultaneously functioning in our reality. It's not one or the other. The whole focus of Epic Leaders' journey or voyage is to know that your epic leadership operating system, which is emotional, physical, intellectual, and consciousness, is the same operating system operating at different altitudes. On a human level, it is subject to reactive fear, worry, doubt, scarcity, all of that. On a higher altitude of a leader's operating system, it is driven by growth, evolution, purpose, and impact. So they're two different altitudes of the same operating system that belongs within us. So I had this beautiful presentation that I created, and when I shared it within the collective, it was so heartwarming to see the feedback. And I had actually one of the clients literally say to me that this is exactly what I needed to see today. Can you make sure that we are able to get a download of this and print it in front and stick it on the wall in front of us so that we don't forget it. And I think for me this is another testament that the work that I'm doing is meaningful and it has a solid impact for people. And I am just excited at the hundreds of people that are going to be learning from this work that I'm doing on myself, of course, through my own journey publicly, and also those that learn by being inside the collective, close proximity to me every week, going through the advising coaching sessions and learning from the content and internalizing and practicing it. This is what I'm born for. So I'm so excited about it. I'm absolutely celebrating the awareness and the joy that it gives me to create this material. A massage I didn't understand, art that I couldn't explain, a room full of referrals of exactly the kind of people that I need, and a notary who didn't charge me, an email that arrived to explain why at this time swimming is the best option. You see, our logical mind will look at all of this and either say this is all completely unrelated, irrelevant, or discrete, disparate events, and it dismisses even the possibility of a coincidence. And the truth is, universe and the infinite field is never speaking in a language that is evidently obvious, right? It happens in a very subtle language. It is using timing, money, water, people showing up exactly at the right moment. That is universe speaking, the infinite field speaking to us at all times. And so it is easy for us to dismiss them as non-events or as coincidences. So my question to you that I want to leave you with is this: where are you dismissing synchronicities as coincidences? And what would change in your life if you truly could see the synchronicity for what it is and start watching how all of these things in your life are repeating signs of you making progress in a particular direction that is coming from the universe, from the infinite field? What would become better? What would change? How would you live your life differently? And that's what I want to leave you with this week. Before you go, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and share this video with those that might resonate with this kind of content. And I will see you next week.